Here we are. Welcome all of you to the 116th AOE meet today. Pritha Dubey is a leading sales negotiator and leadership coach whose clientele consists of C-suite, senior executives, senior consultants, and women entrepreneurs who wish to have an inspiring career. She has spent over 20 years in the field of banking and financial services, human resource and learning and development, from managing B2C business to handling large institutional relationships. Her hands-on experience in sales, leadership, training, and coaching helped her formulate the surefire mantras of success. She is the creator and founder of Success Vitamin. That's actually a wonderful name. A power-packed coaching and training academy dedicated to providing leaders and women entrepreneurs the tools they need to exhume the power within and live a life in financial and emotional abundance. She is a skilled facilitator and a coaching partner to many senior leaders in India, Indian subcontinent, and South Asia. Pritha is enthusiastic about all personality development work and believes that self-awareness is the key to making new choices about how you lead your life in business. Her approach to coaching is what sets her apart: simple yet elegant, easy to follow, experiential, and result-oriented. She runs a successful consultancy practice on sales force effectiveness and is regularly contacted by International Finance Corporation, the World Bank Group. Among her many accolades, Pritha is an official member of Forbes Coaches Council, with her article on sales and women leadership being regularly published in Forbes. She won the Best Sales Coach Award 2020, awarded by ET Now World Coaching Congress 101 Best Coaches. She is the Regional Director of International Association of Sales Trainers for the Indian subcontinent. Over to you, Pritha.
Thank you so much. We are going to talk on negotiations, and I will start with a story, and I'm going to show you that story so that it is easier to also read and understand while I am reading it out. I'll read it out loudly, and so this is a story that happened during Theodore Roosevelt's election campaign in 1912. So when Theodore Roosevelt was nearing the presidential election campaign in 1912, he was scheduled for a final whistle-stop journey. Now, what Roosevelt was doing was, at each of these stops, his plan was to clinch the crowd's vote by distributing an elegant pamphlet that had his portrait, Theodore Roosevelt's portrait on the cover. And then inside there was a stirring speech called the Confession of Faith. And some 3 million copies had already been printed, when suddenly a campaign worker noticed a small line under the photograph on each brochure that read Moffat Studios, Chicago. Since Moffat held the copyright, the unauthorized use of the photo could cost the campaign $1 per reproduction. With no time to reprint the brochure, campaign was like absolutely panicky. We don't know what to do types, okay? So not using the pamphlets at all would...
The problem, our side.
Okay. Not using the pamphlets at all would damage Roosevelt's election prospects. Yet, if they went ahead, a scandal could easily erupt very close to the election, and the campaign could be liable for an unaffordable sum. So campaign workers, because they didn't know what to do, they imagined and they realized that they would now have to negotiate with Moffat because they can't afford to have a scandal. But research by their Chicago operatives turned up bad news. Although early in his career as a photographer, Moffat had been taken with the potential of this new artistic medium, that is photography. He suddenly got very interested in it, and it was a new medium. However, he had received very little recognition. He went into the photography, but he could not gain much popularity. Now, Moffat was financially hard up and bitterly approaching retirement with a single-minded focus on money. So the campaign workers, after they have understood that all he wants money, now if they go back to him, he's going to squeeze the campaign out of a lot of money. So they approached George Perkins, who was a former partner of JP Morgan. So far, I hope the story is clear to everyone. Please just let me know a sound, yes, no. I need to explain again.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you were in Perkins' place, what would you have done? Imagine those campaign workers came to you and like, okay, we have to negotiate with Moffat. Yes, Pradeep ji. Bataiye.
If it was a candidate who had a lot of money, I would have negotiated a lot of money from him. Otherwise, I would not waste my time.
You are saying that you are the president's campaigner, right? You are Perkins. So you would go to, you are saying you will go to Moffat and he will give him a lot of money.
No. I said the other way around. I'm Perkins.
Yeah, you are Perkins. So what will you do?
I will ask for a large amount of money in case he's got a lot of money.
You know, he's not, no, he's already burnt up. That's what they said, no.
Oh.
He has not got any success. Okay?
Then I would not waste my time.
But how will you move forward? It's an unauthorized, you are using a unauthorized copyrighted item. You're not allowed to use without permission.
I can give permission for a nominal amount and finish it off.
So you will negotiate with him and offer to give him some nominal amount, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Who else?
Yeah. Hi, this is Abhishek. I think there's no point in negotiating because that's the amount he's due to get if the campaign goes ahead. So the only thing is, amount plus some other non-money monetary situation which he can utilize after the campaign is done.
So you will promise him something.
Yeah.
Post. So you are saying you will promise him a benefit post campaign. Is that
correct? Correct.
All right. Okay. Got it. Who else? It's interesting. Yes. We can't hear.
I would go. Sorry,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
I would go with making him campaign partner and said the photographs are by Moffat. So he gets recognition.
You will give him the
I'll give him
recognition.
recognition. I'll give him recognition.
All right. Okay. So you will give him the recognition that he was searching for. Fantastic. Who else? One last thought.
If he becomes president, he's going to support me. I'll let him have the rights for now.
But the thing is that gentleman doesn't know that we have no other option.
No, he doesn't know.
Yeah. So naturally, why will one offer him the moon? Right.
Yeah, he doesn't know that you're right. You're right. So ultimately what we are saying is that all of us are at least here prima facie in agreement that we will go to him and we'll negotiate with him. And either we'll try to give him some, we'll try to close a nominal amount with him or oblige, and we'll try to also give him, show him the character recognition. Are we all agreement with that?
I think one option is we don't negotiate at all and let him come to the campaign because that's the maximum amount he's due to get. Negotiation means
there is no maximum amount, sir. There is the maximum amount is maximum amount is unlimited. It's a scandal. It's a scam. It's a presidential campaign. Maximum amount is the president loses the campaign and with a red face.
Yeah.
So that's I don't think that's a wise possibility.
No, but that's $3 million.
No, there is no $3 million, sir. 3 million copies have been distributed.
Yeah, 1 copy per dollar.
Yeah. If they reproduce the photographs again, it's a huge amount, and that's what they're not willing to spend that huge amount. All right, fine. I will tell you what Perkins actually did because this is a real story. So Perkins wasted no time. He called up Moffat, and since he had this background that this guy was trying to get some recognition, he could not get any recognition. And and he used the fact that he's right now, no one is aware that the photograph is, unauthorized use of this photograph is happening, since no one was aware. So Perkins called up Moffat and said, hey, you know what? We are running this presidential campaign. And for this campaign, we are using, we want to give away a president's photograph. Now we have shortlisted 3 studios whose photos we like, and you are one of them. How much will you pay us to use your photo? Moffat agreed, took some time and came back and said, I'm going to pay you $250. Perkins didn't waste any time in bargaining any further on it. He just said, okay, and moved on. So what does this say to us about negotiation? What have you just picked up a little bit? What is it? Because I could see everyone smiling. What did you pick up about negotiation from here, from this case?
Put the ball in the other person's court.
How
Let him speak first.
Yeah, but when do we do that? How do we understand that when is the right time to put the ball in the other person's court? That is what negotiation is. How do I know when is the right time?
So don't make the first offer.
Never. In all cases, it may not hold true. In
It depends upon your strength, basically. So,
yes, very true. So therefore, in negotiations, we have a term called BATNA. Many of you may have heard about it. It is called the best alternative to negotiated agreement, which basically means that we first, before even we go to the negotiation table, before even stepping on there's a lot of work, lot of preparation around for the entire negotiation process. 75% time is invested in the planning and preparation stage. So what happens is, before I go for the negotiation, I first understand what is the situation, what is the issue, what are my strengths, what is my objective, what is it that I want, and why do I want that? So get that clear first. And if this negotiation does not happen the way I want, then what is my best alternative? What can I do next? What is my best alternative? And how do we calculate the best alternative? We calculate it by understanding that, okay, which one is more expensive? My first one, the one that I am dealing with, or my best alternative? Which is more expensive? Which one is more feasible? Which one can be applied immediately? Which one will, cost me less? So these are certain aspects that we first prepare in order to reach my partner. Along with it, we try and evaluate the other party's partner as well. That is, what is the other party situation? We try to anticipate, what could the other party ideally want? And what would be, suppose if this agreement does not happen with me, what is the alternative that the client has, the other party has? So then the alternative that the other party has, is it more feasible than being with me? Having the deal with me, is it more, is it less expensive than dealing with me? Is it more immediately applicable? So when we do this kind of a calculation, we are able to anticipate a zone of possible agreement, which basically means I start with an ideal state for me. Ideally, what I want, X. Okay, what is my walkaway point, Y? So ideally, I want X. This is the best thing that can happen to me, because ideally, what I want, whatever terms I put forth, they just agree. That is my ideal situation. But in all the terms that I am putting forth, I need to also understand my walkaway point. That beyond this or below this or above this, I am not going to deal with it. I will just say no deal and be ready to walk away. Now, between my ideal and this walkaway point, this is where lies my zone of possibility. I have to somehow get the other party in between my ideal and my walkaway. But similarly, what we need to understand, that I need to also understand that what could be the other party's walkaway. And that can happen when I am getting into it, rather than straight away jumping into bargaining. where terms reduce kar dijiye, nahi 90 days ka payment nahi chalega, you make it to 30 days. This is called bargaining. We are straight away getting into that bargaining. Rather than straight getting into bargaining, invest some time in gathering information. Okay, what are you looking for? 90 days payment terms. Why are you looking for 90 days payment terms? No, because we also receive the sub from our distributors. We receive it a little late, so therefore we can't. Even if you ask me to pay it within 30 days, I don't have. Now, when we have asked that why, then you can decide that whether it's a genuine reason, and if I can now give that person some concession, I can show some empathy and give some concession, or it's not a genuine reason, and I believe that we can carry on with it, or how much concession should I give? So that is what happens when I am able to plan and prepare well. So what I will also do now is I'm going to take you through another case, which will, as an entrepreneur, this should give you an interesting idea about when we are pitching about our services and products. What are some multiple ways, or how our mind should be thinking? And all those here who deal with large corporates and their procurement team, if anyone here is a supplier to larger companies and have to deal a lot with the procurement team, you may find this case specifically quite interesting. This is a case where Netscape and Microsoft were headed against each other. So in 1996, Steve Case's AOL was urgently seeking a top-notch internet browser to market their products. Both Bill Gates' Microsoft and Netscape Navigator were vying with AOL to take them on as a client. In terms of their best alternative, that is Batna, Netscape held a decisive advantage due to its strong technical superiority, presence, and dominance in the overall browser market. At that point of time, in 1996, Netscape was the market leader, and Microsoft was just entering the market in the web browser space. So it held a fledgling percentage of the overall browser market, but had a long way to go relative to Netscape's much superior overall market hold. Additionally, Microsoft's browser was also considered technically inferior to Netscape's. Despite this unequal valuation of their position, Bill Gates had deemed that gaining a greater presence and market share of the browser market was a competitive priority. So far, whatever I have read, do you think Microsoft has a strong partner or a weak partner?
They have a strong one. They're not a bigger market. Yes.
They want a bigger market. That's a need. That's my objective. But do I have a strong alternative other than going into this fight?
Operating system already installed, so default program, like default homepage.
We are not talking about what do I have. What we are saying is right now they are competing against Netscape, who is a market leader. Microsoft is just starting into the internet browser space. Microsoft does not have a good valuation. They are technically poor compared to Netscape, and Microsoft wants this deal to happen because they feel that with this deal, they will gain a larger, a wider presence in the market, and it will give them a competitive priority. But at this point of time, by Batna, it means basically that does Microsoft have a very strong opening position here?
No.
Right. Microsoft here does not have a very strong opening position. Fantastic. Okay, let's move forward. So what happens is Netscape adopted the position that since they were so powerfully based They would only negotiate with AOL by holding out for a high per copy fee or per license fee. That was their like squeezing hard, arm twisting, because they're the market leader after all. In essence, the dealer would have been based on browser for dollars agreement. Steve Case, who was then the CEO of AOL, viewed the position of Netscape as they were very aggressive about selling the browser, but they wanted a very high per copy fee. The attitude was, we are so hot, we'll license to everyone, so you better take it. Now, this was a miscalculation that doomed Netscape to negotiation and eventual business failure. Netscape I don't think we know Netscape anymore. Now, being new to the market and possessing what was considered, now this case, from the next page onwards, will let you know that how to convert a weak partner. That is, I did not have any best alternative. Microsoft did not have a best alternative, very weak best alternative. Rather, Microsoft had a worst alternative, which we call WATNA, W-A-T-N-A, worst alternative to negotiated agreement, which means in simple terms, the worst case scenario. If they don't win it, for Microsoft, it would take them ages to prove themselves in the browser market. And they had no best alternative. It is not that if AOL doesn't come, some other big company was waiting in the pipeline. No, there was nothing of that sort happening. So this case is about how, if you can think strategically, you can convert a weak position into a strong position, a weak partner into a strong partner. Let's look at it. So, being new to the market and possessing what was considered an inferior product, Microsoft had very limited leverage at the negotiation table. As Netscape engaged in waiting for AOL to respond to their proposal, Microsoft readjusted their focus by shifting its own proposal to concentrate on its business marketing strength rather than the technology issue. So now Microsoft realized that, okay, technologically I am poor, but my business marketing is very strong. How about we shift the focus of the proposal to that place where we are strong? So in a sense, what Microsoft did is they used a creative strategy to change the nature of a weak position or partner to enhance their position while weakening Netscape's in the process. So Microsoft concentrated its pitch on the marketing features it could offer to AOL, which it knew Netscape could not match. They did so by offering to bundle AOL into the Windows operating system. And more importantly, they offered to do this for free. They also promised AOL that they would provide additional technical adaptations if AOL were to sign a multi-year contract. As David Colburn, AOL's chief negotiator and business development head, would later state, the willingness of Microsoft to bundle with the Windows operating system was a critically important competitive factor that was impossible for Netscape to match. Despite the fact Microsoft and AOL were competitors, the match was perfect for both parties simply because collaborative seller Microsoft had the foresight and negotiation skills to change the nature of their offering to their advantage and made AOL an offer it could not refuse. The end result was that AOL could now be able to position the AOL icon directly next to the Microsoft network icon in what AOL described as the most valuable desktop real estate in the world. Simply put, they could reach out to a market that equated to an additionally 50 million people per year and could do so at zero cost. AOL could no longer have to bombard the market by sending out discounts at a cost of $40 to $80 per acquired customer. And this is how Microsoft converted a weak position into a strong position. What does this case tell us?
Then it's a position of strength. I mean, Microsoft had the strength to bundle it with the OS.
Right.
Netscape couldn't do it. So It was simply a no-winner for Netscape. They had to get out.
Yes, yes. But Microsoft, if there could have been situations or there could have been a possibility that the negotiation may have happened only on the aspect where it originally started, that is the web browser. So we are only focusing on the technical aspects of the web browser and our web browser. Oh, give us some chance, or we will be better. We can prove it to you. Trust us on that. Maybe the negotiation could have continued on that, and eventually Microsoft could have lost it. But to have that strategic mindset, this can happen only before you are at the negotiation table. To have a strategic mindset that, all right, where are my weak points? And where am I strong? And wherever I am strong, what about my competitor? Are they present there? And wherever I am strong, why will that add value to the other party? That is to Netscape. Why would Netscape consider this entire business marketing piece so valuable? Why should they agree with it? So now these are all strategies. One needs to think, one needs to plan, one needs to strategize even before the proposal or the value, even before I can decide what is going to be my opening position. How am I going to open? Now in negotiations, what we say is that we need to balance 4 perspectives. 4 perspectives we need to balance. One is called create value. Who would like to share? What do you understand by this word, create value? Create value. Anything? Yes, Neeraj?
I'm going to say change from cost to value. What is it worth to the buyer who's going to get it? See, then you stand out because he sees you as somebody value adding to their strategy.
All right. Okay.
In fact, I don't want to say too much more because part of that I'm covering in my personal presentation later on.
Okay. Yes, Neeraj?
What I feel is that creating value means that whatever your strength is, maybe we don't know sometimes that whatever strength can create a value to the customer.
Yes, absolutely.
We need to more understand that what the customer wants and what value we have.
Very true. Very true.
More creative in reaching to that goal.
Absolutely. If you look at the example of Microsoft, the value is not that how commercially effective or commercially profitable you can make it for me. Value could be anywhere. Value could be in terms of my business growth, like it happened for Netscape. How can I create value for the other person? That is one very important aspect in negotiations that we should get into it with a mindset that, okay, I want to create value for you. The second thing that we have is called claim value. What is claim value? So create value, fine. I'm creating value for them. What is claim value?
Idea.
No idea, na? Okay, no problem. Claim value basically means I need to also get value from this deal. It cannot be that I am only creating value for you and I am getting nothing. I'm only making losses. That can't happen. So from this deal, therefore, what I need to understand in a negotiation is we are probably negotiating on a certain item. Now, on this item, you probably are looking at this item differently because you are trying to get some kind of a value from this item. But what I am trying to get could be another value. But if our objectives are mutually exclusive, very good. It gets us into the deal very quickly. But suppose whatever both of us are looking for is almost the same. Then comes the question of compromise. That is, you give up some, I give up some, you get some, I get some. But what we try to do in claiming value is, I need to also claim value. I also need to get something from this deal. Many times in many negotiators, the only value they look at is somehow closing the deal. So for that, I have to give you discounts. All right. You are asking for some free offers. All right. You are looking at, something else also along with it. My whole life, kidney, liver. All right. Just give me the deal. But that is not a good negotiation. Good negotiation means that I know what my objective is and where I'm going to walk away. So I need to also claim value for myself. If that does not happen, till a certain point, I will allow you concessions. But after that, I'm going to say, that's it. These are non-negotiable. These are something that I definitely want. These are non-negotiable. It doesn't happen, no problem. We'll shake hands, have coffee, be friends, have a good relationship. That's all right. The third aspect is therefore called being empathy, having empathy. Because I cannot create value for anyone if I don't have empathy. If I do not have any empathy for the other person, I will never try to understand what is it that they are looking for, why are they looking for it. And so I will never be able to create that value for them. मुंह से जरूर बोलेंगे हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल I understand, but मन में I will try to only get the maximum, not create value. And the fourth aspect is called being assertive. Agar I don't know how to be assertive, I will never be able to claim value for myself. फिर मैं सब देती ही रहूंगी, वो जो मांगेंगे, I am not able to be assertive, I'm not able to say कि मुझे ये चाहिए, and I will only keep, giving. So these four perspectives are very important in negotiations, because अगर ये चार perspective हम नहीं balance कर पाते हैं, so the type of negotiations that we get into is called a fixed pie negotiation. The meaning of a fixed pie negotiation is, you can say that if there is a pie, a pizza with some 5 pieces in it, not a even number, there are 5 pieces in it, and both of you are hungry, both of you trying to get the maximum portion of the pizza for yourself. That's called a fixed pie. Like we go and when we are going for any street shopping, or we are going to buy a car, or we are going to buy any such item, a house maybe. What we try to see there is, how can I get the maximum from the other party here? Both the parties are negotiating the same thing. And therefore, what it leads to is called haggling. एक पैसे का, एक रुपया का haggle होता है वहां पर, because both the parties are trying to get the maximum share. That's called a very fixed pie mindset. But if you also have empathy, and if you also start off with the objective that, okay, I will create value also for you, then the type of negotiation that you will get into is called integrative negotiation. In an integrative negotiation, both the parties come together, they put both their issues on the table, and they say, look, this is what we are dealing with. These are certain things that I want from it. What do you want? So they say, look, I want these things. Okay. So now let us both put our head together and collaborate and find out how do we find a solution? How do we reach a close where it's a win for you, it's a win for me? In a fixed pie, it will never be win-win. It's always win-lose, because one person is trying to outdo the other person. Or an integrative, where you are balancing empathy and assertiveness, where you are balancing creating value and claiming value, is when you are able to come together, collaborate, and find a solution. Many people say that win-win negotiation हम सब ने सुना होगा, लोग कहते हैं विन विन नेगोशिएशन का मतलब होता है आई गेन सम, यू गेन सम, आई लूज सम, यू लूज सम, राइट? यही सुना है ना हम लोगों ने, वी ऑल हैव हर्ड दिस, बट दिस इज नॉट विन विन, दिस इज कॉल्ड कॉम्प्रोमाइज. सो लेट अस बी वेरी क्लियर. विन विन का मतलब ये होता है मुझे जो चाहिए वो मुझे मिला, आपको जो चाहिए वो आपको मिला, तब है ये विन विन. किसी ने कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं किया. और ये तभी हो सकता है जब हम दोनों का माइंड एक साथ आए, कोलैबोरेटिवली वी फाइंड अ सॉल्यूशन. हाँ, अगर वो नहीं हो पाता है, इफ इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, हम लोग दोनों आए, देखा नहीं हो रहा है, तो द नेक्स्ट स्टेप होता है कॉम्प्रोमाइज. ठीक है, यू लूज सम, आई लूज सम, यू गेन सम, आई गेन सम. ऑलराइट, सो that was all that I had thought and planned for all of you.
Well, Gigi, can I request you for a vote of thanks?
Thank you very much, Pritha ji. That was a great deliberation, and what was more exciting is that it covered an angle which I have always been speaking. I have not been a seller, but whenever I had the opportunity to sell, whether I go to a client and try and sell something, the greatest advantage I have been always trying to get out of any bit or every bit lost in the process was empathy. I'm glad that you gave empathy a very important point. I enjoyed, we all enjoyed your deliberation by example. But the two examples which you gave were very, very good, very good. The examples of Roosevelt and Microsoft will always be imprinted in my mind. Henceforth, thank you very much for being here and sparing your time.
I want to just add one, but those of you who haven't seen her videos, she's got some very good 1-minute sales videos. They're probably the best thing that's going around.
Now we have the next 5-minute learning session, and today we learn from AOE and Naresh Trika. I learned from him during in school, right? And I'm next time learning from him today. Yes, Naresh.
So Shishir, thank you so much for handing it over to me. But I just wanted to clarify before I start. What I heard in the beginning of the meeting was that I hope Naresh has learned something which he's going to share with us. So is that what you said? So that sounded more like the class teacher, you know. So okay, interesting, Shishir. Thanks for pulling me into this. So I was thinking, what are the two things I would like to talk about? I would not essentially call them words of wisdom, but I would call them as my learnings in life. The first thing I'm going to introduce you to is the fact as to how do we treat people, that those who work with us. So I took over this company, which was an American company struggling. To give you some statistics, they had about 800 days of stock, about 400 days of outstanding. 3/4 of the people had been checked out. The remaining 25% who were working at 50% of the salary, and they were very clearly told that you have the option to walk out if you have a better deal. And that is when the company was handed over to me, and I was told, okay, so from here you begin. So I asked my boss that, so how many months or how many years of cooling period are going to give me? He said, not even a day. So I said, okay. So I started with us. So for the first 2 weeks, I was thoroughly confused and I couldn't figure out what was happening, you know, because they were very scared of sharing the facts with me. They thought this guy had come to oversee the winding of the company. They wanted to be there for a little longer time to look for jobs. So they were all searching for jobs. So this is the kind of company I was heading. So one Saturday, I told the systems guy and the logistics guy, since as I told you that we had a huge outstanding that needed to be collected, or those stocks that need to be brought back. So I told them, please be here on a Saturday, and then, you know, we will find time to, so that we have no distraction and we'll only focus on this aspect of how to get the money or the stock back. That Saturday we worked. Next Saturday again, I told them, so how about, you know, repeating what we did last week? It was very productive because we were getting more focused on, you know, how to sort out this issue, which was a major issue. So third week when I called them, they said, और भी तो लोग हैं सर, उनको भी बुलाया करो, हमारी भी तो छुट्टी होती है. So I said, कि हाँ तुम्हारी छुट्टी होती है, मेरी भी होती है ना. So if I'm sitting with you, he said, you're the boss. So I said, yeah, I'm the boss, but do you know the amount of losses that you made in the last 5 years? I have not taken my salary for the first 2 months, but made sure that each one of you got your salary. So, and honest to God, I did not take my salary for the first 2 months because there was no money. So the company I was working for was an American multinational, and we were the 120th operation. So all over the world, they had, other than India, they had 119 operations. So we started working on Saturdays, and over a period of time, we turned the company around and we became the most profitable company. Now, how did this happen? So, people from US corporate office used to come and ask me, you're going for a MAC accreditation, and, we have no clue as to how to do it. So why don't you help us doing it? So I said, I'm equally clueless. He said, yeah, but you've turned around so many companies. So I said, but this is not turning around a company. He said, yeah, but this is like doing something new. And I spoke to Shishir, and Shishir told me, boss, kood ja iske andar. Maine usko bola, nahi yaar, I also have to, I'm answerable to the guy who's put his faith in me. And, but Shishir, he's very persistent. And so I did, and I went and said yes to him. And believe me, it turned to be something for which I've already got 2 more assignments. In fact, the first one is still on. The second one is closed. The third one is on its way. So my second learning is, however unfamiliar you are with a situation or an opportunity, don't say no on the face of it. Try it out. You'll not lose your life doing it. So that's the 2 bits, Shishir, you were expecting out of me. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk.
We move on to the next session. We have our founding chairman and the legend, Veer Sagar. Can I request Mr. Vikas Rashford to kindly introduce Mr. Sagar?
Veer sir is one of the pioneers who brought India on the IT world map. He has over 56 plus years of work experience with various companies. His management experience lies in turning around companies through positioning and cost management, as well as creating a management structure which is efficient, flexible, and scalable. He is the chairman of Selectronic, which is one of the India's earliest back office company which specializes in medical records management. He is currently promoting Criconet, a social site for cricket lovers, which has remote hybrid e-coaching platform, which is a combination of actual nets digital online coaching platform. Criconet also has a live streaming of club cricket matches. Veer has handled various professional positions. Some of them are, he is currently Vice Chairman of ESC, Export Promotion Council, was a member of the Prime Minister's Task Force on IT-enabled services 2001 to 2003, was a member of the Task Force for ITES for the 10 National 5-Year Plan 2001-2003, was member Executive Council of NASSCOM for more than 12 years, Chairman of the Task Force of Delhi Government on IT-enabled services, formerly member of the governing body of the Software Technology Parks of India, formerly member DMA, the Delhi Management Association, and Chairman of their Information Technology Panel, formerly member of Executive Council of Computer Society of India for over 10 years, and formerly member of for over 5 years of the Executive Council of MAIT. Some of the recognitions which he has received is Lifetime Achievement Award for services to BPO, one of the IT men of the last decade by DataQuest magazine, and one of the persons responsible for building IT India. One of the IT trendsetters of the last decade by Computer World, declared as one of the men with the Midas touch by Economic Times. Over to you, Veer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vikas. I heard that and I was looking around, who's he talking about? Not me. Anyway, thank you very much for giving me this tremendous build-up. I'm not going to talk about my companies today, right? I thought I will talk about, unfortunately, I didn't know that there were so many people talking about the same thing, by learning. And the thing I was talking about is to create value. Now, we all need to create value, even in your individual offering or in your product or in your company. And to create value, you have to think differently. If you are in a business where the decision is on the lowest price, you get out. But that's a mug's game. You will never make money when you're selling at the lowest cost. So look for a business where you are selling on value. When I joined Dunlop, this is way back, Dunlop had just decided to computerize. This was 1964 when there was no computers. First, one of the earliest computers in India. And as a management trainee, I was selected to join the computer division. The computer division at that time had people from finance, because it was under the finance division, or computer guys. So they were basically chartered accountants, you British qualified chartered accountants, or programmers, systems analysts, and people from US, UK, or Singapore, IIT and ISI. So I was the only odd guy out, a vanilla MSc, maybe exotic nuclear physics, but still an MSc. So, and I was wondering, what the hell am I doing here? The project I was given was to computerize the processes of manufacture, the accurate specifications, so that they could do the costing. The entire computerization of Dunlop was cost-based. It had to be because being run by the finance division. Cost of purchase, cost of sales, cost of inventory, salaries, payroll, etc., etc. Now, I was then advised by my boss, you do chartered accountancy. Somebody else told me you learn computers. I thought about it. I said, these guys are very well qualified, experienced chartered accountants. The other guys are qualified with more than 5 years of actual learning from the best institutes or actual experience. Me, however brilliant I may think I am, it will be very difficult for me to overtake them, no more than them. Yet, if I don't, what am I doing here as an also ran? Because if I did not do something different, I would be also ran in the service because I would be an odd person out. So I said, I need to create a value for myself so that I get recognized as somebody different. And I said, the only two technologies that were required, skills that were appreciated at that time was accountancy and computers. So I said, I will make those two skills irrelevant, right? And I will become the head of this department in 10 years' time. How do you make them irrelevant? Very easy to say, but you're in a computer division, right? And if run by finance, and you say, I'm going to make finance and computers as irrelevant. I looked at it and saw the company, the accountants were looking at management from the accounting point of view, purely as a cost. I firmly believed that cost is for a purpose, but these all came from the school of costing, so they had very standard method of costing. The computer guys looked at computers from the computing point of view. I said, let me turn this around. Let me have the accountants and the computers become tools. So we look at the computers as a tool for management. We look at accounting as a tool for management. And why would I do that? Because the only skill that I had was logical thinking, essentially because I did MSc in nuclear physics, which is basically applied mathematics. Mathematics is logical thinking. So I said, let me apply this and create model. So let's use accountancy knowledge. Let's use computers as a tool and create a model which would mathematics taught me one thing, that you can only optimize one function. Most of us make the mistake of trying to optimize a few things. Yes, I want cost, I want profit, I want quality, I want this. So everything. When you do that, it becomes like a bhel puri mixture. You can't taste anything. You need to have one item which you say, this is what I will maximize, subject to other constraints. So I said, let's look, what does the company want? At that time, it was the license Raj. That means even at the best, whatever you did, if you improved your processes, if you became very efficient, you cannot produce even one number more than the licensed capacity. You were punished for efficiency. The CMD would be called to Delhi and given a speech talking to. So I said, how do we, from the same licensed capacity, increase the profit that the company makes. So the mathematical model I created was how to maximize profits subject to constraints of whatever capacity, etc. Capacity, etc. So how do you do that? I created this model and used accountants to give me accounting data and used the programmers to create a program that could solve my mathematical inequations. With that, now this is now talking about profits. So once you're talking about profits, we are talking about senior management. So I go up to the senior management and I said, here is, and I made a presentation. But at this point, my excitement, inexperience, whatever came in the way, and I made a very, very impressive but technical presentation. Very impressive presentation. The lesson I learned there, that if you want people to understand, don't worry on impression, go for simplicity. And they said, excellent, Veer, very good, but I don't think we want to do this. So that way, my entire plan of becoming departmental head came down in a balloon. And I went back and I said, I still believed in what I was doing. So I went back and I said, who in this team I can talk to? And generally you will find the sales managers are a little easy to talk to. So I went and met the sales manager and I explained to him. When I explained to him on one-to-one, he liked the idea because he actually saw profits shooting up. Then he said, but then I said, but why didn't you accept it in the meeting? He said, I didn't understand what the hell you were saying. So we went back, simplified the presentation and represented it to the board and it got accepted. After that, I started getting projects to do profit planning, to do planning, capacity management, depot, anything that they took a decision, I got involved. And within 8 years, I did become the head of the department without knowing any computers. So what I learned was what you do not know. Instead of trying to learn that or trying to compete with people who know, make it irrelevant and go around it. Later on in life, I had this experience again. From tire company, I moved to a computer company called ICIM as the senior vice president, sales and marketing. When I went in there, I love customers. I learned a lot from my customers and from rickshaw pullers, rickshaw owners, to truck drivers, to big, large fleet owners, to MDs. I have learned a lot from them by interacting with them and saying, what do they need? So when I came as the marketing head, I said, I want to meet our most important customer. That was Standard Chartered Bank. So I got an appointment and I went to meet the finance director. The finance director, oh yeah, computer company. He called the IT manager. The IT manager came in, he's probably also seeing the finance director for the first time. He's asking me questions. He's not asking me, when you have a seminar or a speech, he will ask questions not so much to clarify their thoughts, but to impress, to show their knowledge. So this guy was asking questions from me to impress his boss. Unfortunately, I hadn't a clue of what he was asking. He was asking the internals of a computer. In my 20 years of selling experience, I had never had to learn about the internals of the product. But this guy is asking me for the internals. I was now stuck. If I bluff my way, I would be caught. And the finance director would say, look, this guy doesn't have a clue of what he's selling. If I say, I don't know, again, the same problem. Can we trust to buy from a company whose sales manager does not know what he is selling? So I need to find a way of repositioning the whole thing. Of how do I create value for that end customer? So I said to the finance director, I said, these are very relevant questions and I think you deserve to get answers. But why are you and me talking about this? I will arrange somebody from my R&D department to come and meet your IT manager and they can both talk bits and bytes the whole day till the cows come home. Let's you and I talk about what is it that you want to do. What is the problem that you're trying to fix by buying my computer? And let us see, can we meet that requirement? If we can meet that requirement, it's a good deal, whether it has all those bytes and bits, doesn't matter. And if we can't meet your requirements, if we can't add any value to your company, then even if we tick all the boxes as required by your IT manager, it's a bad deal. The finance guy said, yeah, but he understood this. He understood profits, he understood costs, he understood value. He said, good idea. So then we sat down and we started discussing. After about a half an hour, he said, he called up the intercom to the MD and he said, do you have a few minutes to spare? Then we went up and continued the discussion with the MD. So in one stroke, I converted my weakness into strength. I pushed the whole decision up from, if it ultimately it had been bits and bytes, they would have got all the specifications of all the customers, competitors, ticked off, and then got the lowest price, as somebody said earlier, that if you're technically qualified, then they buy the lowest one. That would have happened. Now I removed that thing from the equation. They're now discussing what benefits, what advantage can we give to the company. So the whole thing you moved is converted my weakness into a strength. And the entire decision-making shifted now at the MD level. In future, all my discussions was with the MD level and with the finance director level, whereas my competitors were dealing with the IT manager. So I've learned this very, very important lesson that if you do not know something, right, do not try and master that. Go around it. I know it's not a very good, maybe a lot of people may not agree with that, but I found it very useful because don't try and compete on your weakness. Compete on your strength. And whatever your strength is, compete on it. And if you try and learn this, then you are so busy concentrating to learn that you forget the main issue. I used to do something when I was head of marketing in Dunlop. I used to take my finance manager with me for negotiations with the customer. Because I knew one thing, whatever price you get, the finance guys will always find a reason for criticizing. You could have done better, or this margins are low, whatever. So I said, best thing is to take him. I used to take him and make him do calculations in the meeting. So he was so busy focusing on calculating, right, finding out all the various things, that he never looked at it as a good price or bad price. And ultimately, whatever price the MD or the finance director was on the other end and me decided, he came away with it. At the end, he could not object. So I always found that what you do not know, right, do not try and cover that, make that into a strength, bypass it and get it on. That's what I want to say. I don't know whether it's been useful or not, because this is what I learned. And to date, let me tell you, in spite of all these companies that I have run, all the IT teams that I have been in, I cannot run a computer. And when somebody gave me some advice to do on my notebook, I said, no. All my notebook is set. I cannot do any changes because I do not know. I get somebody to do it. I just use for what I need to do.
It is always a pleasure to hear Mr. Veer Sagar. I always enjoy listening to him, his words of wisdom, and they are always, the pearls of wisdom are always welcome. One enjoys listening to them and learning. His experience is so vast, and whenever you hear him, either in his YouTube or otherwise also when he is on the giving the deliberations, one finds something new coming out of it. So thank you, Mr. Veer. We always enjoy hearing you, and we'll keep on hearing you all the time and enjoying the deliberations which you give to us. Thank you very much. Thank you
for AOE.
Your presentation.
AOE is my first love. Anything for AOE, with pleasure.